Tiger laughed. And then he did have an interesting answer. They tried to kind of grill him a little bit on the Ryder Cup being paid situation where the American players want to be, the story comes out that the American players would like to be paid for participation in the Ryder Cup. Obviously, almost like a political campaign where the European players saw that, took it as an opportunity to be like, we would pay to play in the Ryder Cup. We don't need to be paid. Tiger was asked about that, and his response was very much in line with the sort of side of the argument of those who run the Ryder Cup make millions and millions and millions of dollars on the Ryder Cup. You could argue that they make that based on the backs. They make that on the backs of the players. If you don't have the players, you don't have the Ryder Cup. So if the entire event is about the players, it's crazy that everybody else makes money except the players, which is kind of the NCAA argument and the NIL and all that stuff. Tiger was very much just kind of invoking charity throughout the whole thing. He did allude as well back to like the 90s when Tiger and some other players got pretty much skewered in the media for this same exact storyline where it was like, do you guys hear Tiger Woods wants to play, Tiger Woods and co are demanding to get paid to play in the Ryder Cup. Tiger's kind of whole point, and he basically said, good for the Europeans. If they want to have that stance, I don't really care. The way that our stance is that we think so much money is driven by the Ryder Cup, which I looked up the numbers. I believe it was said that it's about a $30 million difference for the PGA of America in terms of their bottom line in a Ryder Cup year versus not a Ryder Cup year. I think one of the other kind of lines that I heard that was said was based upon a decade ago or so. PGA of America allocates about $35 million over a 4-year period in the bottom line for the Ryder Cup. So they say they get about $10 million when $10 million difference when the Ryder Cup is was played internationally, and about a $25 million increase to their bottom line when the Ryder Cup is played domestically. And so it's obviously a huge deal for that organization, but that's a lot of money. And if you're making all that money off the backs of the players, Tiger's point was like, yeah, the players would like that money to get allocated to them for them to then distribute to charities. Seems crazy that we wouldn't want that. Of course, we're the ones playing. We're the ones putting our time and effort, making the event what it is. All we're asking is like if a player gets $1 million a person or something like that, that they could then allocate that money to charity. So that was kind of his take on the whole thing. And I kind of respect him standing by it and not just caving and being like, oh yeah, we're going to like, he didn't really take the bait with the European players and them kind of pouncing on the opportunity to be contrasting to what the American players are saying. And I get that we all are like, love of the game. I can't believe they don't want to play. But rationally, it's hard not to see the point of like, yeah, they make a $30 million difference on a year when there's a Ryder Cup. We're the ones that make the Ryder Cup the Ryder Cup. Crazy that none of that comes our way and we can't give some of it to charity.
I think if you told the casual sports fan that players in the Ryder Cup don't get paid, they'd be surprised.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, why have we said like this one thing you don't get paid for because it's fun? Like, why do you get paid to play the sport in any sense then?
Right.
Playing the NHL is fun. They still got to pay the guys. What we do is fun. We still hope to make money. I got to buy a bassinet. Like this is like it's all fun. Like people would like give their left nut to go like do any of this stuff. Like it is fun, but like you still make money. Like you got to have it. Like you got to be making money. I mean, someone's making money off of it. Why wouldn't it be you?
The reason this all became a narrative is because I think a lot of people at once learned that they weren't getting paid.
Yeah.
I really think like it doesn't change my opinion of the Ryder Cup either way. Like if the players are getting paid, great. It's because of the reasoning that Riggs just laid out. They're making a ton of money. Break them off a little bit. Why not? It's another incentive to want to play in the Ryder Cup. Like guys maybe are going to try a little bit harder because they get $1 million or whatever. But yeah, I really don't see an issue with it either way. If they want to give it to charity, God bless. But if I don't have an issue with them getting paid. If you watch sports, this was the college issue forever. It was like the NCAA is making all of this money. And I get that these guys are already rich, right? Especially on the American side. And all pro golfers involved in the Ryder Cup are pretty well off, where the college kids weren't. But it's like, yeah, if they're going to play this sport,
matter,
it doesn't matter.
Right.
This whole thing, and I understand why the European team decided to like draw the narrative line and be like, we'll pay to play. Of course.
Sure.
Of course.
They're probably making money some other way that they're being sneaky about, like the documentary or some bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're probably
like the gypsy guys, you know.
Yeah, some way, somehow they're getting paid. Those guys, like, come on, it's all just for the look of it, being like they want the money and we don't.
Of course.
Or Rory's writing out a check to everyone or something. The guy's got more money than God.
Dude, Rory's got the most money.
Yeah.
Well,
sends out a text like, "Hey boys, I gotta send you all $500K. Let's all just say like we're not gonna get paid." All right.
Yeah, again, it is Riggs. It's like a campaign. They saw an opportunity and they were like, "Oh, we can do this, and it's going to shift their
great move
even further."
Great move.
It's a great move, really good. But I to me, I don't give a.
I'm kind of falling that way too. I don't really care, and it almost reminds me a little bit of like when somebody has a friend that's a photographer and they're like, "Oh, will you just come photograph this for me?" I'm like, yeah, of course I'll do that. And then they're like, "I'm going to send you an invoice for it. Like, that's what I do for work. Like, this is my job. So if I'm going to do my job for you, I need to get paid. Like, that's my job. That's what I do." And so the players, I understand if they're on the road and yeah, they're rich and all that, none of that it doesn't matter. If the point is, and I get like the point is they're doing what their job is, 35 weeks of the year, whatever they're on the road. You're asking them now to take another week of their job to go do what they do for a living, which is play golf, and do it in front of people at an event that drives tens of millions of dollars in revenue to the bottom line of other organizations. It's not crazy is all we're saying to be like, well, they probably should be compensated a little bit for that. Like they're doing their profession.
It's the only thing they don't get compensated for, which is the crazy conversation. It's like,
yeah,
the fact that they don't get compensated is what Trent's point was, or it's like, of course that's going to be a topic of conversation. We're stunned that they don't get paid already, I guess.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And it's arguably the most popular golf event. Like, I mean, numbers wise, it's every 2 years. Everybody watches the Ryder Cup. I know the Masters is huge. All the majors are huge, but I think most people get up for the Ryder Cup. So yeah. This whole thing has been a complete non-issue to me. I really just think that with new information that they weren't getting paid, it became a conversation of like, oh, maybe they shouldn't. They're playing for their country. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if that's right.
Right. No, so I get it. And obviously Tiger said it, so I'm more likely to agree with him, which I am. So good for Tiger, kind of holding his own, holding his stance.